Welcome everyone to our weekly Quranic wisdom study. We are continuing to, inshallah, study the Addendum to divine determining. We'll say a few words as a recap and then we'll continue reading, inshallah. As some of you may have received in the newsletter, we had a bit from Dr. Yamina's. One of the things that stayed with me from Dr. Yamina's reminders, discourse last class, last meeting, was the emphasis on practicing tafakkur. In the addendum that we have been reading at the end of the treatise of divine determining, it offered very short but deep pathway from the Quran to our Rabb, ajz, weakness, faqr, poverty, shafaqa, compassion, and reflection, tafakkur. And we've been talking about these. And at some point, last class, Dr. Yamina noted that she reminded us that tafakkur needs time and needs pausing. And we say this all the time, but it was good to hear it over again. The heart needs to take these things in, and one way of doing it is to connect it with everyday rituals, so-called rituals that we partake in. Many of us have it as part of our daily routine to make wudu, to pray 5 times a day. And to do this with consciousness is extremely important. And so she reminded us to make wudu with this consciousness, with this awareness, with this intention to submit. This intention, this is a choice, this is an intention, and it should be renewed as much as we can. I mean, we, subhanAllah, oftentimes even forget to remember within the prayer or within the wudu itself, but to make the intention and to try to renew our intention to submit to our Rabb, to be aware of that decision. It's a decision. So one of the things she noted was we are all worshippers, whether we are aware or not, whether we're worshiping one God or we're worshiping false gods, ourselves, power, nature, luck, other people. We are constantly in a state of worshiping in the sense of seeking value, seeking power, seeking help from things or from one Rabb. So we are worshipping whether we like it or not, but the point is to be conscious and say, I am choosing to worship and be grateful to the one who's sustaining me in life. And then she highlighted again, what does it mean I'm conscious? What does it mean I'm aware? It's to be aware of the fact of who we are, that I am being sustained, I'm drinking, I'm eating, and I don't know how. I don't know how these things are happening. Muscles are stretching, nervous system is working. I'm able to taste when the thing touches my mouth, my tongue. All of this I don't know, and we need to pause with that, and not just. She was very much emphasizing that it's not an intellectual thing just to understand, but also we need to take time to remember this, and it doesn't have to take long, but we need to make effort to do it. It's already, it's weaved in the way the path is. It's already, we are expected to pray 5 times, expected to make wudu, and they are meant to be these locations, locuses of remembrance. And so, and she always reminds us that these are things for remembrance, but what are you going to remember if you haven't reflected, contemplated, meditated on these realities? What are you going to remember when you say God, Rabb? So she said that let's not go on learning all kinds of things, as much as information as possible. Let's take a few ayats that we learn and go reflect and practice. So this little excerpt from last class was around 1 hour mark, and it was in the newsletter. This is a little also reminder that If you don't receive the weekly newsletter, it's sent usually on Tuesday mornings. Please feel free to sign up from the website. So coming back to the text, Imam Nursi said there are many, in the Addendum, he said there are many paths that are all taken from the Quran. So he's not saying this is the path or the exclusive path, but he felt that these are really crucial, based on crucial verses that define what it means to be human and also help us. قد أفلح من زكاها, the verse that says those who purify the nafs are the ones who flourish. So in order to purify our nafs, these 4 steps or these couple steps are crucial, Imam Nursi is suggesting. So there were several verses that he highlighted as important, and we have been talking about them. Do not justify yourselves. ولا تزكوا أنفسكم. Right? That was the first one, just to remind. And the larger verse, this is verse 53-32, mentioned as part of the first step. استعوذ بالله. الذين يجتنبون كبائر الإثم والفواحش إلا اللمم إن ربك واسع المغفرة هو أعلم بكم إذ أنشأكم من الأرض وإذ أنتم أجنة في بطون أمهاتكم فلا تزكوا أنفسكم هو أعلم بمن اتقى. As for those who avoid grave sins and shameful deeds, even though they may sometimes stumble, behold, your sustainer is abounding in forgiveness. He is fully aware of you when he brings you into being out of dust and when you are still hidden in your mother's womb. Do not then consider yourselves pure. He knows best as to who is conscious of him. So this ending part of the verse, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ هُوَ أَعْلَمُ بِمَنِ اتَّقَى, is where Imam Nursi is getting the first step. And we discussed in earlier classes that we have a tendency to consider ourselves pure or justify ourselves constantly, almost like a lawyer, constantly defending ourselves. But actually that capacity was given to us to glorify our Creator, not ourselves. So in this stage, it is to kind of be really aware that we can't, it's not meant for glorifying ourselves. It's actually great to just admit our imperfection and mistakes and ask for forgiveness. And then the second step is connected to this verse. استعوذ بالله ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم أولئك هم الفاسقون. And be not like those who are oblivious of God and whom he therefore makes them be oblivious of their own selves. It is they are who are truly depraved. هم الفاسقون. ولا تكونوا كالذين نسوا الله فأنساهم أنفسهم. Don't be like those who forget God and he therefore makes them forget their own selves. And this was also a very good diagnosis that our ego, our nafs, forgets itself when it talks about transience and death or serving, that somebody else will die, not me, as it were. Somebody else should do service, not me, as it were. But when it comes to compensation or benefits, nafs says, okay, I'm number one, I should be praised, I should be acknowledged, and so on. And then in this stage, then the idea is to reverse, because the reverse of it is a true one. And I recall from last class that there was an emphasis on, instead of focusing on ourselves, seeing the flow of abundance and focusing on our Creator. And then in the third step, it referred to the verse أعوذ بالله ما أصابك من حسنة فمن الله وما أصابك من سيئة فمن نفسك. And it goes on, anything good that happens to you is from God, and whatever evil befalls you is from yourself. And that actually was also mentioned last time, that we realize that all the beautiful things that manifest through us do not belong to us, and our job is not to claim those beautiful things that might manifest through us, but to acknowledge that it is coming from our Rabb. And instead of boasting, we should be in a state of gratitude. I think that it's here, perhaps Dr. Liman had mentioned, seeing the flow of abundance and being grateful instead of boasting. And seeing, and this is very powerful, to know that our perfection lies in our imperfection, our power in our powerlessness, and our wealth in our poverty, because through recognizing our weakness and poverty, we then discover the true source of all beauty and abundance. And that's actually a big gain, as Dr. Yamin reminded, and other sisters last class. So I think now we are going to go into fourth step. Right? I think we left off at fourth step, and then perhaps we'll also move on to very conclusion. Is there anyone who would like to add anything before we start reading? Dr. Amina, did you want to highlight anything?
No. Inshallah. Thank you.
Inshallah. Okay, so then we can read the fourth step. Again, Imam Nursi highlights a key verse that is an inspiration to this fourth step. Let me read that verse first, and then I'll ask if anybody would like to read the fourth step for us out loud. Now, the verse here is Surah 28, verse 88. استعيذ بالله ولا تدعوا مع الله إلها آخر لا إله إلا هو كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه له الحكم وإليه ترجعون. And never call upon any God, deity, side by side with God or beside God. There is no God except Him. Everything is bound to perish except His eternal self, or His face, literally His face. With Him rests all judgment, and unto Him shall you all be brought back. كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه. Everything is perishing except for His face, His countenance. So, would anyone like to read this out loud? The fourth step here. Okay, not then. I'll go ahead and I can. Go ahead, Sarah.
Bismillah. Thank you, Isra. Fourth step. As the verse, everything will perish, save his countenance, teaches, the evil commanding soul considers itself to be free and independent and to exist of itself. Because of this, man claims to possess a sort of dominicality. He harbors a hostile rebelliousness towards his true object of worship. Thus, through understanding the following fact, he is saved from this. The fact is this. According to the apparent meaning of things, which looks to each thing itself, everything is transitory, lacking, accidental, non-existent. But according to the meaning that signifies something other than itself, and in respect of each thing being a mirror to the all-glorious Maker's names, and charged with various duties, each is a witness, it is witnessed, and it is existent. The purification and cleansing of a person at this stage is as follows. In his existence, he is non-existent. And in his non-existence, he has existence. That is to say, if he values himself and attributes existence to himself, he is in a darkness of non-existence as great as the universe. That is, if he relies on his individual existence and is unmindful of the true giver of existence, he has an individual light of existence like that of a firefly and is submerged in an endless darkness of non-existence and separation. But if he gives up egotism and sees that he is a mirror of the manifestations of the true giver of existence, he gains all beings and an infinite existence. For he who finds the necessarily existent one, the manifestation of whose names all beings manifest, finds everything.
Thank you, Sarah. So what attracts attention from the beginning is that this human being, or nafs actually says in the original, the next that side in us that needs purification, pretends to have rububiyyah, or claims to possess a sort of dominicality, rububiyyah, considering itself to be free and independent and existing on its own. And in that, there is a hidden hostility, hostile rebelliousness to the ma'bud, the true object of worship. It strikes me as a bit scary that there is, but at the same time, I think it's good to know that dangerous potential so that we can block it. So this nafs al-ammara wants to play God, as it were, or rububiyyah, meaning I am taking care of myself, I am independent, I am free, I exist by myself. And then that can yield a hostility in the sense of almost feeling competitive towards the creator, that, hey, this is my space and I'm independent, I'm running this, and why are you running things? It harbors a hostile rebelliousness. And the way to wake up from this is to realize it's just not true, that we are just simply not independent, we're fully dependent. So we can see Imam Nursi introduces this two choices again, and also explains an idea that runs through the Risale Nur, Mana Harfi, Mana Ismi in Arabic or in the original. According to the apparent meaning of things, which looks to itself, to each thing itself, Mana Ismi. So just looking at things on their own, looking at myself on their own, everything is passing, lacking, accidental, and non-existent. In the original, it was her şey nefsinde Mana ismiyle fanidir, mefkuttur, hadistir, mağdumdur. I think every single word in this Turkish sentence is Arabic. Almost. Mana ismi. So looking at itself as itself, fani, passing, mafkud, lacking, hadith, came into being afterwards. Also philosophically called accidental, but something that comes into being afterwards, after not having existed. And ma'dum is non-existent. What do you think? I mean, is that an exaggeration? Does it feel real that if we don't connect ourselves to beyond, to our creator, it's just me, then and me and everything I care about is passing, lacking, almost non-existent. Does it ring true?
I'll just chime in. I mean, I since we've been studying this for quite some time, the moments that I have throughout my day that are disconnected, rushed, hurried, not aware of the gift of being given, are completely chaotic and overwhelming and draining and exhausting. And then the moments where I can come back and see that it's given and just slow down, it's like breath. It really is like the difference between life and death. It really is. I mean, and that's no exaggeration. The difference between total dark abyss and peaceful bliss. It's literally that radical of a difference in my day. So hour to hour, I mean, I know Dr. Yamina told us to put the hourly timers to just come back, slow down and remember. And I'm going to have to put the hourly alarms back on because yeah, I need the drastic change from a moment of witnessing like there's somebody taking care of me, this feeling is from him, this chaotic event is from him telling me I need to pause, remember how exactly 100% needy I am, and then return feeling reassured of his care as opposed to running like chickens with their heads cut off. Everybody's screaming, whether inside or outside. Sometimes it's both at the same time. With everything going on, it's just for me, your question, Isra, it's so palpable and tangible, even in the streets now. People are either feeling peace or suffering, and it's just so clear, I think, especially now, given the times.
Thank you, Sarah. I think in times of stress, especially, we recognize how everything is so lacking and so passing.
Assalamu alaikum. I think we're assuming honesty, like a deep integrity and honesty. Otherwise, honesty while being in ghafla, while being disconnected. But in practice, most of the time, when we are in ghafla, because the perception of the world, our experience of the world, as or when we are disconnected from the source of everything, from our Rabb, is so unbearable that to cope with it, we do not even, we run away from it. We avoid even entertaining that possibility. So what we do is we are in numbing ourselves, and we live in the delude ourselves as though things are not transient at all, as if everything is existent, it's real, it's so much that our sense of reality is totally distorted. We feel like what we are seeing and living and experiencing materially, physically, is the reality, the big reality, whereas it's not the most real thing in this life. So yeah, this in spirituality that is divorced from religion, from akhirah, from God, from any source, then you will find things like claims like everything is an illusion, it's like a dream, nothing actually exists, actually. And lots of people stop and pause and say, oh, yes, it makes sense. But actually, if you pause even more and reflect, that's why reflection, tafakkur, is so important. It's a key here. Then you realize if there is nothing, if I'm an illusion, if all this is an illusion, why are we even entertaining it or talking about it? Just everything becomes meaningless and purposeless and absurd.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because especially when things seem to be going well, and if we are not really honestly looking, pausing and looking, it may seem like things are real to some extent and exist, as it were. It reminds me of the Ramadan Quran feast we had just this past Ramadan. The first one, I think, was Sister Fatma Noor, and she was talking about exactly this. That I think she said it feels like a conspiracy sometimes, like the whole world is conspiring to forget this fact of transience. But then, if you look a little bit, the pain of everything being passing, and nothing has the power really to continue on its own. Everything is perishing. So this connects to the verse Imam Nursi cited in the beginning. Everything is perishing. كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه, except his countenance. So this isn't just a claim, it's real. And that's why the Quran is saying, because it's real and we can see that realities, and that becomes an antidote to our illusion that somehow I'm free and independent and I exist by myself. That's actually not.
Now we are looking at the fourth step on its own, but if we look at it as the fourth step in this path, then we'll see that it is like speaking to the last part of us that's still resisting, that still is claiming independent existence on its own.
And I think there is a truth to that residual claim, in the sense that we are given elsewhere. I think Imam Nursi says like a shadow, or
yeah, the whole thing is about the illusion that it is independent.
Yeah, so we have
connected from not connected to anything, as if we exist on our own. That's how it feels if we don't really reflect. But we cannot truly reflect if the first is to accept our powerlessness and our needs, so we can start experiencing rububiyyah. We start experiencing the gifts that are we're being blessed with here and now, always. That's the only way we can perform the shahada truly. So that's why the first is that we need to be in touch with our ajz and faqr. The extent we are in touch with them, to that extent we will realize start experiencing the life and existence differently. And of course, as we come to the fourth step, the first step is going to also increase. It's like a spiraling upwards. And there is this shafaqa, this compassion, empathy, because it's possible, we can imagine that someone accepts that they are ajiz and faqir, that they have needs and they are no power, but that's it. No empathy, no compassion, no, maybe we can use it in a negative sense. We just complain about it. Why should I be? Why am I created this way? So just being aware of the fact, accepting the fact, making peace with the fact in a peaceful way, then how do we know that? The compassion, the mercy, the kindness starts increasing towards everything around us. And all these things are going to, these three ways of being, they are all interconnected, are going to be used in the way we are taught in the Quran, are going to be transformed, needed into ubudiyya through tafakkur. But tafakkur is not a mere intellectual cogitation, understanding, because if I'm not feeling, truly experiencing my powerlessness and my needs and my deep desire, my longings that transcend this transient world, even in this world, like practically, in fact, nothing is under my control, because even my breath is not under my control. So that tafakkur has to come from this state of being, this state of feeling what's going on. That's why it's the heart. In the Quran, we are taught how the heart is going to reason. لهم قلوب لا يعقلون بها. The ghafilun, the people of ghafla, of neglect, who are like cattle, or even worse, because cattle have not been given these abilities. They are people who have hearts with which they do not reason. They have eyes with which they do not see, ears with which they do not hear. It means it is just like the eye sees and the ear hears, the heart is supposed to understand and reason. And reasoning, as Imam Nursi rahimahullah, he says, reason, the intellect, is a tool of the heart. And if the heart is not using it, then guess what? By default, the ego is using it. Because the ego is also coming from emotion, but emotion not divinely inspired, but misguided emotions.
And this, Dr. Yamina, about compassion, so just to remind, I just put compassion and tafakkur, shafaqa and tafakkur. These were the four elements of the path that we had mentioned in the very beginning, Imam Nursi had mentioned. Now, compassion, you said we need to really feel our needs. We have needs and we have no power, ajz and faqr. And then we have the choice to empathize and have compassion with others. Is it possible to say that even before that, we recognize ourselves as receivers of compassion? the more we realize that I'm needy. I have so many needs and I have no power really to take care of them. They are being taken care, and that
Yeah, sure. Now, this steps is about consciously. Otherwise, we are always in ajz, always in faqr.
Mhm.
And I may be vaguely aware of it. And from time to time, especially when we go through hardships and we live it, even if we don't articulate it even more. But the step here is about being conscious, aware about it. This is something that I am cultivating. It's part, when I'm in tafakkur, this is my, these three states are my given, this is who I am consciously. Otherwise, yes, true.
Yeah, so I'm trying to tie it to compassion. Then I realize I am recipient of compassion. I'm being, you know, breathing, as you say, or any other need being taken care of. It's because of pure compassion. It's not like I'm smart. I arranged my lungs and I arranged the air pressure and I'm running the world and atmosphere, so I breathe. No, I'm taken care of with compassion. So then I also recognize that my fellow creatures are also needy and they are also in need of compassion, and I can reflect compassion onto them as well.
Yeah, the whole thing is being a conscious mirror of our Rabb. So as we witness the beautiful names in the world and within us, then if we are truly witnessing and truly surrendering and truly grateful, like in prostration, fully, like with full humility, grateful for this, then when the beautiful names of God come through us, just like they're coming to us through something, they are going to go to others through us, then we won't stop them. Because otherwise we can stop them without realizing. Either because we are not present with it, like I feel a vague sense of helping someone, but then I forget about it because I'm not fully present, aware of that feeling of that need. It's a need. Or I do realize, I become aware of it and I make excuses that I have something else to do. And I'm not still aware that it is not me who is the doer. I'm not aware because if I don't go through these steps consciously, if I don't practice them consciously, it feels like it's up to me. I am the one who is kind and compassionate. And when I have time, I practice that kindness, but now I'm busy. Okay, but in this path, it's not up to me. Even if I feel that I was either lazy or I made up an excuse or something, I am in a state of istighfar because I'm aware that it is the divine that is manifesting through me, and I am being an obstacle to it. That's why the third step is good is from God, evil is from yourself. And anytime, this is not easy. It's easy to say. That's why saying is not, or to say and to understand intellectually. But if we wait in our heart, if we stay like for hours and days and just stay with the meaning of this, it's very heavy. It's not easy to accept, to the extent I cannot surrender, accept this reality in any area of my life or in any event I need to go back to step one. It means still something is showing up, the ego is still claiming ownership. It means I forgot about God in that event, and that's why he made me forget who I am. Second step. And it means I am purifying myself. We do it for good and for evil. The good, it was in the Qadar, in the text before. When it's good, it feels like it's from me. When it's evil, when it's something I don't like, it feels like I have all kinds of justifications and explanations. And
The world failed me. They didn't cooperate with my good
I mean,
intentions.
even if it was a little bit my fault, but it's not only my fault.
Yeah, and the other person should have understood. And
Yeah, lots of things, factors are involved. When it comes to good, I don't say lots of factors are involved. It's all me. It feels that way. I'm not saying we claim this.
God,
We claim it through our way of being. That's why honesty is so important. So here, all things perish. Everything is perishing except His wajh, illa wajh Allah. Is first a reminder, a training, an upgrade in our journey towards in our ubudiyah towards God. And it's also it makes it easier if we truly go through 1, 2, 3, then here it's shedding that last not only resistance, but also, and not doubt, but that last, like, feels a little bit bitter, a little bit like scary, a little bit, how come? Who am I in all this if everything is from him and I'm nothing and I'm just receiving and I'm like a shadow-like thing or a mirror-like thing? Or this helps because we have that deep longing, desire for eternity. And so that last holding on to the world, and therefore my ego, myself, because the world, nature, like in the 30th word, are a projection of my self-perception. So the I within me is nature out there in the creation, in the universe.
I mean, you mean in the sense that we attribute agency to ourselves in the inner world, and then agency to natural things in the outer world.
Yeah. So here, this is like the last stop. If we just sit outside or just look at everything around us, how everything is changing, especially like in the plants and things, anything that grows quickly, it's easier to see how everything is changing. The sky is changing all the time. Children, especially when they're young, you see them changing very quickly. If you pause and stay with this reality every day and just don't try to understand it, just feel it, take it in. And if we don't know God, it's very scary. But if we are already in the fourth step, then it's very soothing, because now we don't want to hold on things that are perishing, that are leaving, that you can't hold. Actually, we're trying to hold on something that's not holdable, that's has nothing to grab on. And then suddenly we don't try to grab onto something that's has no support. And suddenly it's so relieving to find the eternal one, to find eternity, to find like that the gate, transience becomes the gate onto what we truly long for. And once we find the response to that need, then everything else is easy to let go then. Because we realize that what we're trying to hold on is not here. It's leaving. It's meaningless. So the fourth step is very powerful. It's healing. It takes us it speeds the journey of Ubudiyya, and it's a very merciful way of teaching us to totally surrender.
Mhm.
That's why this is repeated if you go, when you're reading the Quran, pay attention. And pay attention to something. Transience, everything is transient, is repeated again and again. And it is the only way, it's the key to starting to perceive everything as ayat, and therefore everything as flowing from the alam al-ghaib, from the unseen, and therefore they are all proclaiming the beautiful names of God and glorifying their creator, their Rabb. So these two things are related.
These two things being, one, everything passing,
The
two,
transience of everything,
and beautiful names of God.
everything being a sign to the beautiful names of God.
Everything glorifying
To-
God. Sign.
And to making known our Rabb, God, known to us with his beautiful names.
Mhm.
So it's the gist. It's a very essential point.
This is very nice to keep in mind.
And in all of them, we are applying tafakkur.
Mm. Now, the example of the firefly is a nice one. I want to share what I get from it, and if anyone else would like to also share, that would be nice. Firefly, it's so, you know, small and has light. It has light, and they glitter in the dark, and that little light represents the sense of agency I have. I think I am taking care of things. I have some sort of rububiyyah in me, and it's nice. You know, as it were, if the fireflies flying around with that light, it's happy as it were, and you know, here I am. I'm able to generate light and so on, and says, yeah, but you know, when you say that I have my own agency, I have my own independent rububiyyah, I take care of things, I arrange things, I think things, I whatever, I make things happen, or do things, produce things, and so on. There is some initial pleasure from thinking that, yeah, I'm doing this. He says, you're like a firefly in the darkness. You're saying, okay, I have this little light, but you left the entire world in darkness. It's just a metaphor, obviously. It's not about the firefly itself, but firefly's light becomes visible at night. So I think he's using that as a symbol that you're leaving the entire universe in darkness by claiming agency to yourself. Like, I'm doing this little thing, I'm running this little thing. But if you were to let go of that, if I were to let go of that, then it's like I turn on the light as if I am basking in the sunlight, and everything is light. So, and the way to get there is to recognize that um, this isn't purposeless, that I do have a sense of agency. I mean, we have spoken about this a lot in receiving your holocaust, that the nafs, the self is given a sort of agency so that it can relate to um, the beautiful names of God, so that it can relate to divine will, divine power, divine rububiyyah. So we have some sort of a sense of as if we're doing things, we are arranging things, so that we can relate to the idea that things are being arranged and taken care of in the universe. But it's not really an independent thing at all. Like I say, I made this food, and every single step I'm completely dependent, from the way I am able to move my hand to the oven and the ingredients and things interacting once I put them together.
And we can only follow the rules, the already set order. I can't
Yeah.
start making the same dish, but why should I follow? Like, I don't want to use heat.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you said I do sometimes, I like I don't think this is necessary, and then it doesn't turn out. Like you can't say I'm gonna bake this cake, but I don't feel like using baking powder or soda. I'm just gonna do it this way. It doesn't happen. So you put these things together, and you rely on so many interactions, chemical
Follow the order.
to happen. And then I turn around and say, I baked this cake. Like I have the audacity to say this. It's really like, to be honest, every single step I'm being dependent and I'm being sustained. So what do? I use this as an ayah, yeah, that this agency, this seeming rububiyyah that I have. We talked about this before many times. Like as a baby, you have no claims and you're totally taken care of. But as you grow up, at some point they stop feeding you because now you can eat your own food. At some point they stop dressing you. Now you're able to dress yourself. At some point they stop showering you because now you can shower yourself. So that sense of rububiyyah grows. It is just a small tool given to us to.
Imam Nursi calls it like a thermometer or a unit of measurement given to us in order to comprehend, not to comprehend, but to understand the concept of rububiyyah, or all, and it works the same for all the names. For instance, how do we understand the name creator? Because we have a sense of what it means to create, but are we creating from nothing? No. But we have a sense. But that sense is to know the names and to know God. And if we don't use it that way, it feels like it's me who is doing things. And in fact, if we do practice tafakkur, even without ajiz and faqr, we will understand that we are not the creators, we are not the makers, we're just followers of the order.
Yeah, yeah. So then, if I say, okay, I am the one who baked this cake, I am the one who runs this house, I am the one who takes care of this child and educates the child and so on, and think that really I have my own agency independently, it's illusion, and also it's not pointing to something more. It's just an illusionary agency, and then you are like the firefly that is submerged. Here it says submerged in an endless darkness of non-existence and separation. We had a little discussion, I think the previous or last week, with Sister Tesnia, talking about her concern about which school and so on. So that could all those choices can become a nightmare, because if I am the one who is guaranteeing the well-being of this child, if I am the one who is guaranteeing at least the well-educated education of this child, then I'm constantly in fear, because even if I send the child to the best available school, there's so many things I can't control, and even if I could control all of them, so then it becomes a dark, very dark place to be, because the moment I say I am in charge, I realize there's so many things that I'm not able to control, and that we freak out. And Dr. Emily said once, that instead of freaking out, it's actually a sign that I should surrender. I can surrender. That it's a sign that I have misused what's given.
I need to ask for help. It means I need help.
Yeah, yeah. So it's so if, instead of insisting that, if in the third paragraph it says, that is to say, if he values himself, the ego, the nafs al-ammara, and attributes existence to himself, he is in a darkness as great as the universe. That is, if he relies on his individual existence and is unmindful of the true giver of existence, he has, an individual light of existence like that of a firefly, and is submerged in an endless darkness of non-existence and separation. But if he gives up enaniye in Arabic, enaniyet in Turkish, if he gives up his enaniye, ego-centeredness, egotism, and sees that he is a mirror of the manifestations of the true giver of existence, Mujid al-Haqiqi, then he gains everything. And that promise is really relieving and actually exciting, because then when I agree to switch from saying I'm independent and I am for myself, then I know I actually ultimately, really in reality, if I'm honest, as you were saying, everything is passing, I am passing, I actually have no control, it's dark. But then when I realize that, no, I am pointing to something other than me, Amana al-Harfi, in Imam Nursi's vocabulary, and everything else is like that too. Everything else is pointing to the all glorious maker's names and have various duties. Then I can say, okay, so my sense of rububiyyah, for instance, that I take care of this house, I take care of this child, I'm good at doing this or that. I realize it's not really mine, but it's a little measure that I have, so I can realize that things are taken care of in the world. Because if I don't take care of the house, I realize how everything goes bad, and disorganized and messy. So then I realize if everything is running well in the universe, it is being taken care of by a Rabb. So I use my almost illusionary sense of rububiyyah of running the house. I could relate to the one who's running the universe. But then I realized really this rububiyyah is just a tool. It's not really I am running the house. From my breathing to muscle movements to my capacity to see, put this from here to there, all of it is actually is given to me, or the wisdom, I should arrange things in this way, that's given to me. So when I realized that, then I said, oh, wow, this is given to me for the purpose of recognizing the name Ar-Rabb, or the name Al-Hakim, or the name Al-Alim, the knower, the wise, the one who takes care. So it isn't then, I mean, otherwise it really is dark, and otherwise it really feels like a bad joke that you're working so hard and doing all this and that. It's all an illusion at the end. And it only hits us when there is a calamity. Or transience hits us, that this was mine, I knew it, I did it, but it's actually all passing.
Without akhirah, there is no future.
Mm.
Future is just a word, a construct for us to, like a point of reference. Now is also a point of reference, because the moment I say now, it's not now anymore. But it's a useful tool. But if we really think there is a future just like there is no past, the past is gone, there is no future. Unless it's connected to, we have the sense of future, because the fitra knows and longs for akhirah, for our Rabb. It comes from God, so it knows its Rabb. But are we consciously acknowledging that or not? If we are not, then deep down there is always a fear and anxiety, because tomorrow, what does it mean tomorrow? Until we're there, nothing is sure. But if there is God, if he exists, then everything exists. Because even if I die tomorrow, so what? Die means just you're changing to another realm. Just like we came from somewhere else. We were not always in this world. We came in, we'll go out. As long as he exists, then all is well. But in order to, in his existence, in order for God to truly be present in my life, I have to give up my imaginary, delusional, independent existence. I have to, and this needs this training. And these 4 steps, if you follow them, practice them, it's the easiest, shortest way to increase your iman, live in the presence of God with ihsan, if you practice it. And in a way, it's practicing belief in Qadar, because belief in Qadar looks to all the pillars of iman. So the more I am in a state of submission, a state of obedience, a state of recognizing my Rabb, a state of metaphorically prostration, the more everything exists. Everything is flowing from the source back to the source, from alam al-ghayb back to there. Otherwise, even if I do not deny, in my heart, I won't feel that peace, that groundedness of that yaqeen in akhirah, yaqeen, because I am witnessing, wherever I turn, I see the beautiful names of God. I see the rububiyyah, the creativity, the activity of rububiyyah. So the more I live in the world that way, nothing distracts me and makes me forget God. Everything is actually telling me about God, glorifying God. They are alim al-shahada. They are testifying to the beautiful names of God. They're telling me, come, look, your Rabb, our Rabb is all beautiful. He controls everything. He has power over everything. So life becomes meaningful, purposeful. Everything is exciting. It brings joy and peace. And even in hardship, there is trust, there is acceptance, and there is, let's see what Allah has. I don't understand what's going on, but if He is making me not like this, there must be something. What can I do? I go back to God and seek help from Him. Everything becomes beautiful. Otherwise, as Isra, you just said, it becomes like darkness upon darkness. Just to keep my little ego in another treatise, Imam Nursi represents the light here. It's a firefly. There it's a hand.
Flashlight.
A flashlight. So just like I'm going to use the flashlight, but there is a whole system. There is the sun out there in your home. There is like everything is connected to central, electrical central. You have electricity everywhere. No. What do you mean? You mean I don't have the power, so I have a little flashlight just to claim my own rububiyah, which is not a true rububiyah because it's not from me. I am not the source of it. It is just reflected in me, like in a mirror. It's coming through me.
To
So,
connect what you said about the future also, like really, I mean, the illusion becomes more and more clear because like you go to a place where I happened to go into the Congress for the first time to visit some representatives, and like the place is so majestic, and then they seem to have power, and then one of them passes away, for instance, or not elected the next time, done. You know, it's like people move on, and the person may have served as a senator for years, and he died. Okay, he died. Like the day he died, oh, he died unexpectedly. That's it. Or you know, in the Pope, who's important for many people, uh, Pope died. Nothing anyone could do for that person, even if the person is say very famous and so on. So, like, there is no future in the sense that when there is no guarantee, even if you are the most one of the most loved people or richest people or apparently most powerful people, even some of the presidents, if they if they are out of power or they die, done. So nothing, no power that they seem to have is actually a power that belongs to them that would guarantee a real future, a real tomorrow, because this guy has been, let's say, in power so long. Obviously he's going to be alive tomorrow. Obviously he's going to be able to um, wake up and still uh, remember everything. No, you can't say that for any person. I mean, any one of us, but it's something to see that also um, in everyday life with bigger events. So, did anyone want to say anything at this point? Any comments? Any questions?
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam, Zubeda.
I'm going to be quick. In the Quran, there's mention of, flies and mosquitoes and spiders and locusts, but a firefly is not mentioned. But there are lots of metaphors, in the parables and things in the Quran. And while Dr. Yamina was talking, I was so focused on this firefly. And when, Dr. Amina, you were saying about everything around us is a reminder of Allah's power and His majesty. And of course, this firefly is part of that creation, that may not have any significance in the Quran, but it has some significance in life. That to look at it, yes, this is God's majesty, God's power, the symbolism. But when we talk about it lighting up in the darkness of our life, I thought about Allah's name Nur, Nur upon Nur, light upon light, that while we are in our darkness, this firefly is going to give me symbolism now that there is Nur, and that's what I need to look for, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in my darkness, in my moment of darkness, not to go spiraling down, but to look for that firefly, the Nur, the light that's flashing to say, hey, I'm here. We often say there's light at the end of the tunnel, but then that's like enduring pain, enduring suffering for a while. And then we say, oh yeah, there's light at the end of the tunnel. But this parable metaphor, I would say, is telling me, no, there's light at the beginning of the tunnel of my darkness. So I need to look for that light, which is the Nur of Allah. And then from there, everything will be easy, inshallah. So this metaphor is a very powerful one. And I really never thought about fireflies. I don't even know what one looks like. But now I will not forget in that moment of darkness that there is light at the beginning of the tunnel, and that we should look for that light, Allah's light, Nur, Allah's Nur, to help us through this darkness. Because this darkness is going to be temporary. The fly is temporary. One of my nieces used to say to me when we have a bad day or bad time, she'd say, these are two days of difficulty. And I'd say to her, what do you mean 2 days of difficulty? And she'll say, this too will pass. And so this is the same thing. It's like if we have a darkness, look for Allah and say, okay, this is going to pass because Allah's going to help me. He's going to help me through this. And so you kind of drop all your I can do this, or I've been through this before, I can manage, or look to people horizontally for help, because that's what we do. We go to so and so, we go to so and so, we go to a therapist. But look at that firefly vertically flying and the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and remember that He's the first port of call, not pick up the phone, call so and so and say, can you help me with this? I don't know what to do this. It's call Allah and say, help me with this, help me in this darkness. And subhanAllah, I think this metaphor is such a powerful metaphor that I'm just taken back today by the discussion as well. MashaAllah. Alhamdulillah. Thank you. Jazakallah khair for that.
Thank you, Sister Zubaida. Are there any other comments or sharings or questions? Yeah, I mean, I was thinking on the side, and firefly in itself is a beautiful sign. Actually, it's lovely to watch in the night darkness. Sunrise, its own beauty, but firefly has its own beauty. It's just part of the universe that glorifies God, so and manifests beautiful names. Just here, it is as a metaphor of a person who doesn't want to give up their illusionary agency. So it's saying that don't do that, because yes, you might
Tiny.
Yeah.
It glows in
Yeah.
the summer, it glows in the darkness, but it's so tiny and it doesn't last long. It flickers.
My closet, as a side note, like is dark inside, and sometimes the light in the room is not enough to see what's inside the closet. So sometimes I take my phone light, and I can't find, like I'm in a hurry, I need to find something in the closet, where's my skirt, where's my jacket, and I can't find it. And it yeah, I mean, it's good, the cell phone light, but it's just not helping. Alhamdulillah, I was sent a solution this week. But so that firefly represent that little tiny light in this kind of, within this metaphor, that we want to surrender and be in the real light, and see that there's light in the tunnel, in the beginning of tunnel, everywhere, as this is what I was saying. And I mean, this last part is the last sentence: for he who finds the necessary existent one, that wajib al-wujud, the manifestation of whose names all beings manifest, finds everything. That's huge. Maybe we pause here for now and take from here next class. What do you think?
Inshallah.
Inshallah. Sarah says yes too. Any final words? Okay, so then inshallah we stop here, and hopefully we can meet perhaps Thursday night. We'll send a message for a sisterly prayer session, inshallah. Otherwise, we'll inshallah meet again next Tuesday. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وآخر دعواهم أن الحمد لله رب العالمين. Glory be unto you. We have no knowledge except what you have taught us. You are the Almighty and all knowing, all wise. And the final of their words is all praise be to God. Amen.
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
Amen. 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 So, as Nurbanu would say, let's continue reflecting on this, and inshallah we'll be in touch in the contemplation group as well, and keep up your istighfar, she would say, as Dr. Yamina said.
Let's go for 1000. It's quite easy, inshallah. Just intend and it will be made easy.
1000 istighfar, inshallah.
You go for a walk 10-15 minutes. If you don't finish, then when you are walking, when you're doing something, inshallah.
Inshallah, keep asking for forgiveness and for the Ummah and for humanity, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair, Dr. Yamina, and Jazakumullah